fans, and welcome. It's Season 17, race number 8 of 12, 218 laps around this just shy of a 1 mile speedway, one of the favorites of the real life series. We get to bring the International Open Wheel League here. These stars and cars, the Dallara IR-18 race car is going to be here doing 218 laps, as I mentioned, for the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190, presented by Dan Ensch here at the virtual Iowa Speedway on the iRacing service. So great to have you with us. My name is Trevor Greenfield, as always, been with you since Season 10. Here we are cranking through Season 17. And these drivers heading down there on the track, you can see none other than 5-time champ already heading around right now to get his qualifying laps in. Go ahead and send it down trackside and pick up the action as these cars get qualified for today's race here at Iowa. As mentioned, one of the absolute favorites of the real life drivers and the virtual drivers. Definitely no shy cars. And definitely they love this track for certain. So as we get things set to go here, you can see on your screen, we'll get the timing and scoring going for you. But today's race is going to be broadcast in 4K quality. So great that we can do that once again. And we got our internet issues sorted out. Now it's just time to get the rest of this, I guess, sorted out a little bit. Don't quite have the audio figured out, but we'll get that in there in just a second. So let's go ahead and get the timing tower up there for you. You can follow along with where everyone is at. So far, Jason Lowe taking the fastest time thus far. And second fastest for Graham Bunyan. Kind of a surprise there. Usually Bunyan knows his way fastest around here. We'll get Dan Ensch up there on the screen in just a second and see how the hometown favorite is able to do. Actually, not really the hometown favorite, but he loves this track just as much as anyone else out there for sure. You can follow along there. Dominic Harte taking third fastest thus far here in qualifying. We'll be getting this picture back up for you as soon as we can get this audio cranking away here. There we go. We should have you back up and live and working as we get one of these other cars out here. Here's Richard Kelbaugh out there on the track. Sure that we get all of the audio happening for you out there of these race cars. Apologize for the delay here. But it appears most of these drivers have already gone out there and qualified. So, as you see it there on your screen, Dominic Harte in third, Mike West in fourth, Jimmy Drennan fifth, and Edward Lack back in action again today, sixth place. M.J. Ramirez in seventh, David Strid in eighth place. And it looks like Dan Ensch saying that he unfortunately not able to get in qualifying effort that he would like to for today's race. Again, great to have you all with us as perhaps Julian Altena will make his way onto the track. We see him getting ready to go out here. And also Iñigo Mardones yet to take a qualifying time. So we'll try to see if they can make it into today's race here momentarily. And there we go on your screen. Hopefully that's good enough. And if not, we'll do a little bit more investigative research. We'll send our crack team here from the VirtualRacing.Network studios down there to figure out why we're not quite getting the right audio, but we'll get it all figured out for you. In the meantime, just waiting for this one to finish up here. Should happen in the next 10 seconds, and we'll be able to give you a final rundown of the qualifying order. So momentarily, just waiting here for it to go official, and there we go. That's how they're going to start for today's race. Let's go and get the qualifying grid up there for you on the screen. And you can see Jason Lowe taking pole position. The stunning time, 16.723 around the Iowa Speedway. Starting alongside will be Graham Bunyan Dominic Harte in third. Mike West going to be starting alongside him. Jimmy Drennan and Edward Black on the third row. MJ Ramirez, David Strid, last season's champion David Strid there. Richard Kelbaugh going to be starting next to the race sponsor, Dan Ensch for the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports machine. Of course, Jason Lowe also out there racing for a sponsor, Rescue Ranch. Team Stick Quick, represented by Richard Kelbaugh in the league there. And Julian Altena will hopefully be starting today's race. Not sure if he's going to make the grid or not. We'll see if he's lining up. And he is indeed there. You can see him just making an appearance. And Iñigo Mardones is going to be starting alongside him as well. So, kind of got new digs here, new studio location here in Florida, and got our new internet back in. But as you can imagine, there's always some little kinks to work out here and there, and some new things to get exactly right. We'll make sure that we get everything all perfect for you as you're sitting there watching in 4K. Once again, do appreciate everybody joining us here at VirtualRacing.Network, and we'll make sure that we get also all of the previous races that perhaps you may have missed or that may have been recorded and couldn't quite get them exactly right. Make sure that we get that all set up for you properly once again and uploaded onto YouTube. And again, sort of operating underground here, as some of these drivers know. We're yes, and there I do pick up the audio, so we are good to go. Of course, not interviewing Jason Lowe, but here we go. We're set for round number 8 here at Iowa, the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190. Of course, we'll have much more information about Alzheimer's, ending Alzheimer's awareness, and all the things that those of you who care for loved ones who might be suffering from Alzheimer's might be facing, what you can do for those loved ones. We'll be hearing much more about that and how you can support the Alzheimer's Association here, as we will undoubtedly have 1 or 2 possible yellow flags. Jason Lowe driving the Pink Pig for the Rescue Ranch out there in pole position, and Graham Bunyan, 5-time champion. Jason Lowe, no shy to the champion circle, 3-time champion over there. But Graham Bunyan going to be starting alongside, and this is obviously the rivalry that the fans pay to see, as these two have had their share of, close racing, let's just put it that way, over the years. And certainly something that is fun to watch out there on the track. But Jason Lowe going to be bringing us around turn 3 and turn 4, and then looking for Barney the Flag Man to drop that green flag and get us underway here. We get set for a fun and exciting day around, like I said, one of the absolute favorites of...
Green flag, green flag.
There it is, green flag in the air. Barney the Flag Man waving it. All these drivers and their favorite track back underway here. So Dan Ensch not getting in the qualifying effort that he would have wanted starting back in 9th, but he can certainly get it done from there. We watch on Jason Lowe leading the field and doing quite well to start that way. Back here in 6th place, you've got Edward Lack. Jimmy Drennan has already taken a position. You see him in the blue and red machine, and here goes by Edward Lack by Mike West as well. Now, several drivers having to do end-of-line penalties for today's race, and because of missing the initial audio, I kind of missed that, but Howard Livingston was supposed to be end-of-line penalty for today. He didn't make today's start, so he'll have to serve that penalty next time. Will Stearns also had an improper pit procedure, so he'll have to do end-of-line next time, because he did not make the start for today's race. And Rick Lovison, also improper procedure. Then Manuel Gomez-Esteban, who also did not make the field today, and Brian Bowles, who I do not see in the field today, also having to do, starting from the pit. So But back up front, it is Jason Lowe here on lap number 5, who's holding down the lead. But you see Graham Bunyan kind of coming on strong on the high side. Is Graham going to have something to say here as he tries the high side on Jason Lowe? We jump on board with the 101 machine from Brisbane, Australia. He now looks to the high side. Unable to make that pass. But he's holding tough, and I tell you what, if you're Jason Lowe, and you're looking in that rear view, there is no more feared driver out there than Graham Bunyan. There he is, looking back from the Kirby Pink Pig. Those of you who have played the video games in the past recognizing Kirby. Took me a minute the first time I saw it, but still a lot of fun, and Jason lets me call it the Pink Pig at the same time, which is part of racing heritage. By the way, those of you watching 24 Hours of Daytona, great to have you joining us here instead of there, or perhaps you have both going simultaneously, which is probably weird. But either way, we're all motorsports nuts, and I can certainly understand that. I was watching earlier, pretty cool stuff. Being a Floridian sure makes me want to jump in my car and get down to Daytona. But hey, we got a great race happening here in Iowa. Jason Lowe and Graham Bunyan, 2 former champions. Kind of weird to say with Graham Bunyan. Bunyan now trying the low side on Lowe, but not able to stick that move. And it's tough to tell whether Bunyan really wants by or not, but it's hard to make that pass here at Iowa, whether you want to make it or not. You can try the outside, and now kind of back out, take the draft down the front straight. Gotta keep that aero push of the car in front under control. Time it just right. Here he is coming off of turn 4, not quite able to get right up behind and start to challenge for that pass. But generally speaking, you kind of want to wait for your competitor to make a small mistake. And as we all know, sometimes good old Jason Lowe has made a couple little tiny mistakes. Hey, he is only human, for sure. And so that's just enough for someone the caliber of Graham Bunyan to be able to sneak by, whether it's that into turn 1, turn 3, just depending on where the opportunity may arise. So if you're someone like Graham Bunyan, you might be sitting back there thinking, okay, this is it's going to happen. And you just wait for that moment where you can sneak your nose in there, possibly take a chance at getting that position. As we take a look back through the field, Dominic Harte now running in 3rd position. It's where he started. And Harte, as we've talked about week in and week out, one of those drivers that does seem to be able to get up there into the front frequently, but just hasn't found his way to consistent podiums. Maybe this is the start of a new chapter for Dominic. Got a lot of real life stuff going on also, so easier said than done to keep it totally under control and able to stay 100% focused in the cockpit every single Sunday. But he does his best, just like the rest of these drivers. Jimmy Drennan, another frequent front runner, now running in 4th place, up a position so far, as both he and Edward Lack, you see there, back to picture number 20. He's up a position as Mike West, the chief steward of the series from Yakima, Washington, dropping back a little bit. Dropping back 2 positions so far today. MJ Ramirez also dropping 3 positions, and that has allowed defending champion and leader in the points, David Strid, to close up 1 position from where he qualified. Kind of surprising. Not a great position for David to start the race, but I just kind of gloss over it most times. As David actually manages to climb his way from the back of the pack quite easily. So we'll watch to see whether or not he can do that today. Julian Altena, he did make the start today. Here he is on your screen, up 3 spots from where he started in 8th place. Now, of course, qualified in 11th. And just behind him, it's Dan Ensch. So today's race sponsor, here he is working on the inside of Julian Altena. Pretty much on cue. These two go side by side through turn 3 and out of 4 onto the front straightaway. Now continuing to race side by side. We can get a nice tight picture. There you go. There's the end ALZ car on your screen. Dan Ensch there, racing with that awareness each and every week. And a couple of weeks ago, he changed his color scheme, which can possibly bring some new luck, but certainly quite easy to read with the purple on white. Great to have him always representing the end ALZ message for the Alzheimer's Association. As we work here on lap number 25, Dan, not with that qualifying effort that he wanted. And, looking on earlier in the practice session, you actually had Dan, I think he took the top time in practice. Wasn't watching at the very end, but he was right up there. And so Dan also, of course, giving us the race notes as usual. So great to have Dan and Last Lap Motorsports, the ALZ.org machine, always chiming in to let us know how things are going to be playing out today. He says it's got about 45 to 47 laps on the fuel window. There's not a lot of drafting help to help you save fuel out there. As you see, Julian Altena very close to the outside wall there. Watching on with Dan Ensch, it looked like Altena maybe scraped that wall, as Ensch still trying to work on that 8th position on track. But he does say tire wear is really bad out there. It's not a flat-out track. You have to find the clean air in the corners, and with the tire wear so bad, you really do have to save the tires. So we're going to start to see some tire degradation here as we get towards the end of the stint. Maintaining a good average over the whole stint is the key, and not trying to wear out those tires, trying to make those very aggressive passes on people. Just going to start looking for strategy on the pit stops. So that's the keys of the race from Dan Ensch. As we look back up at the front, it's Jason Lowe who's continuing to get it done and set the pace here in virtual Iowa. Fellow Floridian Jason Lowe here running at the point and up a half a second on Graham Bunyan. So Dominic Harte running in 3rd place, Jimmy Drennan in 4th, Edward Lack in 5th. And once again, you're watching round number 8 of 12, as you see Graham Bunyan there having to take evasive action around Iñigo Mardones, who's down a lap at this point. Watching 8 of 12 of Season 17. If you're enjoying this broadcast, we do appreciate your support. Feel free to visit ALZ.org and learn much more information about the Alzheimer's Association. But also, you can make contributions. There's links down in the description, as well as if you'd like to join the International Open Wheel League, well, it's an easy link to click on down in the video description as well. We'll be going over to see the head honcho of the International Open Wheel League. That is M.J. Ramirez, who will field your entry requests, check out your basic credentials, make sure that you are someone who knows how to run one of these open wheel cars around the ovals and handle it properly, and invite you out for a Saturday session so you can show that you can hit in and hit out and drive around without crashing into a whole bunch of stuff, because that wouldn't look good on broadcast. And then, assuming that it's all good and gravy, hey, you'll be out here on Sundays and I'll be butchering your name just like everyone else. So back to it here. Jason Lowe leading again. Laps 37 we're working on. Now 38. That's how fast they go by. Why don't we jump on board with Jason Lowe and see what it's like to ride around here in the Kirby Pink Pig machine. You keep it nice and high, kind of coming down, still staying actually in the middle groove all the way around this track. A little bit higher arc on entry, not all. If you notice, you don't come all the way down to the apex here in either one of the corners. kind of keep it in the middle of the track, just where that seam is in the pavement. And as you exit turn 4, you let it ride out a little bit. Jason, he can. That's one of the flexible things here is you can pinch it down lower if you're going to run side by side with somebody. Downside to that is too much of that kind of thing is going to wear the tires too much. So you want to find where the car wants to run nice and easy. And that's the way you manage the tires heading around the virtual Iowa Speedway. There you see on the right side of your screen, it is the virtual April 1st of this year, and it's actually 12:30 in the morning virtually, 9-mile-per-hour breeze, and we got 68 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 68 in the air, 95% humidity. Wow, it sounds like they're in Florida, but they're not. They're in Iowa. Sounds like it's just about to rain, but rain not part of iRacing yet. And 70 degrees on the track. So basically, you got a little bit of a breeze, not too much that it's going to be that big of a consideration for these drivers. But 70 degrees on the track also not really going to play a role, as these drivers are operating in the middle of the night for some reason in Iowa. Like midnight open wheel car racing in Iowa. But you know, you look at the stands, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, still, all these fans sticking around past midnight for this race and, you know, turning out in the tens of thousands. Now, we do have one of the favorites making his way down pit lane for his first pit stop of the day. That's David Strid. Very quickly after that, there's Graham Bunyan making his way down pit lane. You can see also Dominic Harte making his way as well. Here comes race sponsor Dan Ensch making his way down the pit lane for that first stop of the day. The ALZ.org machine looking so good under the lights here in Iowa. And Jason Lowe, now part of that group, making his way for the first time. Jimmy Drennan and Edward Black also on pit lane. So great to get all of this in 4K resolution again. See all of those bright details. Also have to thank Graham Bunyan, who figured out a way to get some more resolution on these cars, so you can really see the details of these paint schemes. Like Iñigo Mardones' 666 machine for the Necky Racing team, who's now the leader. He went from a lap down to leading the race, and he would right now love to see a yellow flag come out. Would be truly magical for the Spaniard, as he would, he sure would. He'd trap half the field a lap down at this point if he could do that, but not going to happen. Nevertheless, we'll see. I mean, he's still sticking out there. He has not yet made his first pit stop of the day. Now he's going to bring it down onto pit lane. But that's just one of those fun strategy things that you can try and do. Of course, he'll go back down a lap now that you bring it into the pits and slow it down quite considerably. So checking in over on YouTube, still a couple of people watching us. We do appreciate it. And for those of you who are watching on this unlisted format, appreciate it. Also checking in later. Hey, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like this. I have a feeling we're going to be doing some more broadcasting now that we got this magical new internet. I think it's going to be good times. So also, hey, might as well put in a little plug for myself. If you're part of a league, think about starting a league or whatever, you want to get in touch, you want to do some broadcasting of that league, especially if it's not this particular series, well, we can do it live. We can do it part of iRacing and, you know, out there on YouTube. Feel free to contact me, Trevor Greenfield, VirtualRacing.Network. Get you out there and show you off and all your sponsors, show your league off at a high level, just like we've been doing for this International Open Wheel League, which has changed its name like 4 times the past 4 or 5 seasons, mostly due to other entities coming forward and telling us to do it. But Graham Bunyan really getting high up on the racetrack there. Jason Lowe in second place. So after that round of pit stops, it does look like Graham Bunyan takes over the lead from Jason Lowe just due to the pit stop cycle. Getting it done a little bit better. Have to see if we can tell. We'll go back through the notes here and see if I can figure out exactly how that happened. Here we go. So, take a look here. This was just a moment ago. Graham Bunyan getting by on the racetrack, I believe, just as Jason Lowe. You'll see him trying to exit the pits there on the low side, and that's how Graham Bunyan got by, just perhaps getting in and off of pit road faster. Indeed, that's exactly where he made his time. Pit lane time. Last time by 41.50 seconds for Graham Bunyan. Jason Lowe 43 flat. As they sit 2.5 seconds difference on the track, and that is where that time was made. Jump back to the live picture here. Bunyan up a spot. As you saw, he was racing right behind Jason Lowe for most of the opening part of the stint. Now, M.J. Ramirez still racing in the pink machine there. The dream machine, you might call it. Would love to see a lady racing that machine, but either way, he's doing this in support of his daughter. And hopefully she's watching on out there and gets a sense that she could join these boys out there on the track any day. You see it all the time, the kids getting out there and making it happen. Certainly lots of ladies doing quite well in the iRacing circles. Lots of people of all genders, to be honest with you, doing quite well. But it's no longer a boys' sport, that's for sure. And also awesome to have MJ doing that for his daughter. Now we got the two pink cars together. How great is that? The pink show at the moment, but there MJ kind of circling around in 10th place as Jason Lowe tries to catch up to Graham Bunyan. So Bunyan leads it. Jason Lowe in second. Dominic Harte currently running in third spot. Jimmy Drennan in fourth. Edward Lack in fifth. Dan Ensch has managed to claw his way all the way up to sixth, so perhaps, indeed, Ensch. Wow. Ensch, 40.45 seconds, the fastest pit lane time. Making sure, but yes, the fastest pit lane time of anybody. So let's get that graphic up there. There you can see on the right-hand side, you can see in the little bubble the pit lane time. And Ensch with the 40.5, the fastest one around, and as a result, able to take over the sixth position ahead of your champion, David Strid, who had a 41.9 on pit lane, so 1.4 seconds slower than Dan Ensch. So you talk about getting it done. That is one way to do it. Practice those pit ins and pit outs, and my goodness me, somebody's been doing a little bit of practicing here at Iowa, but he felt really good about his speed. He certainly, you heard in the notes ahead of the race, Dan talking about average lap time, and really that's where it's at. And fortunately, I don't really have a graphic that can show you their average lap time out there, but nevertheless, Dan, knows how to get it done, knows how to lap in and lap out, keep that average up there, and that is how you do it when others are wearing their tires. Others, they may go out there and be the fastest, car overall. They may be able to put down the fastest lap and get the bonus point for that, but it's over the course of the stint and managing to not get caught up in others' accidents that it's really where it's at, and that's what Dan is doing. And I suppose that's part of today's race message, as we'll get a chance to hear from the Alzheimer's Association, as we normally do, Expecting a yellow flag at some point, but we haven't gotten one. Usually a good sign, except for when we need to play a commercial. But that's part of it, is staying the course and, you know, understanding that Alzheimer's is an interesting thing, and some days your loved one that may be suffering with Alzheimer's, they may be great. They may remember everything. They may remember their history. They know who you are. They know all of those things. But some days they may not even recognize when you walk in the room who you are. And those sorts of things, as well as other ways that Alzheimer's can start early onset, these are little keys, little clues that you can pick up over at ALZ.org that will help you to understand kind of what your loved ones may be going through, perhaps starting to forget details and things like that. Now, there is a certain amount of natural aging that happens, but embedded in that, certainly somebody who's much younger might start to show signs of this, and it's a good thing to be aware of early on, help them to possibly get treatment for it, and certainly Alzheimer's Association really leading that charge of research into Alzheimer's and, of course, eventually dementia, but trying to get the cure and trying to find all of the right treatments and the best ways for loved ones to cope with it. So, once again, always great to bring that message out there. And in the meantime, 43, the number 43 car there, the 043, Jason Lowe, getting it done on the track, but unfortunately he's dropped back from where he qualified on the pole position, and now starting to fall back a little bit from Graham Bunyan. Bunyan starting to open it up. 3.94 seconds is that lead, and at a track like this, it's kind of, you know, the story, because what you saw not long ago was Graham Bunyan kind of getting held up by Jason Lowe. And the way that that really works is, if you can't make that pass, you can't really run your line, so to speak, that Graham Bunyan would like to run. Now, let's jump back on board with Graham Bunyan here, and we'll see what kind of a line he takes around this track. We saw earlier Jason Lowe not running all the way down there to that apex like Graham Bunyan is doing right now. Lowe kind of keeping it in the middle of the track. Now, it may matter during, you know, the middle of the stint how you make your adjustments to the car, which, if you're new to this style of racing, this particular car, the Dallara IR-18, you have in-cockpit controls that you can adjust during the race. You've got your front anti-roll bar, your rear anti-roll bar, and then on ovals, of course, you have your weight jacker. The weight jacker sort of cranks up the right rear of the car and changes the tilt down towards the left front, which on an oval can help you to point better into the corner and make the car work a little bit better, but it's going to wear that right rear out a little bit more. Or you can lower the weight jacker and it'll have the opposite effect. So if the car wants to turn too easily, you can bring down that weight jacker and will wear the right rear a little bit less, and the car will turn a little bit less. As you watch here, Graham Bunyan, a little bit of a different line, as I mentioned, now trying to find his way around Julian Altena, who is the last car on that lead lap. And we get to watch him a little bit of skillful playing with how to pass somebody and deal with that horrendous aero push of the car in front. He's going to take the low line here through the mid-corner, drift up the track onto the front straightaway. Keep it nice and high through the corner. He's going to kind of pedal it through the middle of the corner, and he gets a little bit up into the wall. You can always do that a little bit and hope that it doesn't hurt the car too much. I'm not sure if he actually made contact with the wall, but he's trying to get by Altena, and Altena trying to fight him a little bit to stay on that lead lap. And I'll just say these two have history as well. Bunyan and Altena. Altena, a great racer in his own right, young man who has a lot of experience in these cars and has won here in
Yellow, yellow,
International Open Wheel League. We've got a yellow on the track. Looking to see. It looks like it's Jason Lowe. There's Lowe, and I believe Mike West. I'm not sure who else is involved there. We've got Dominic Harte involved as well. There you can see some damage from Harte's machine. See if we can jump back and figure out what happened and who was involved. Harte kind of looks like he's by himself. Was it West and Lowe coming together? Indeed, it looks like it was. So let's go ahead and jump on board the blimp here and see if we can figure out exactly what took place. There's Lowe following West into the corner, and Lowe comes down West comes down a little bit, and then Harte, with nowhere to go, gets caught in the middle of that one. So, tough to say, but, West, being the series steward, certainly understands how to deal with lap traffic, and Lowe knows how to deal with lap traffic, and West will be the first one to penalize himself if he did anything wrong there. Jump back to the live picture here. Let's see if we can maybe get one more chance here as everybody now dives into the pits. Graham Bunyan, Jimmy Trinan, Edward Lack, Dan Ensch, Julian Altena. It's going to give us a great chance, though, to pay some bills and go ahead and go side by side and learn a little bit more about today's race sponsor, Alzheimer's.
40 years ago, Alzheimer's disease wasn't discussed at the dinner table or in the doctor's office. But a group of people devastated by the disease came together to change that. Out of their passion, the Alzheimer's Association was born, and today is the leading organization in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. For the more than 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's, and their over 11 million caregivers, the association's free 24/7 helpline and website at ALZ.org are often a first source of information. From support groups to online message boards, the Alzheimer's Association is available wherever and whenever help is needed. The Alzheimer's Association is the nonprofit with the highest impact in Alzheimer's research worldwide, behind only the Chinese and United States governments. The association is currently investing more than $235 million in over 650 best-of-field projects in 39 countries. These studies will uncover new methods of diagnosis and deepen our understanding of the risk factors and causes of this fatal disease. As a result of the association's vision and commitment, the scientific community is now 40 years ago, Alzheimer's disease wasn't discussed at the dinner table or in the doctor's office. But a group of people devastated by the disease came together to change that. Out of their passion, the Alzheimer's Association was born, and today is the leading organization in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. For the more than 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's, and their over 11 million caregivers, the association's free 24/7 helpline and website at ALZ.org are all. 40 years ago, Alzheimer's disease wasn't discussed at the dinner table or in the doctor's office. But a group of people devastated by the disease came together to change that. Out of their passion, the Alzheimer's Association was born, and today is the leading organization in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. For the more than 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's, and their over 11 million caregivers, the association's free 24/7 helpline and website at ALZ.org are often a first source of information. From support groups to online message boards, the Alzheimer's Association is available wherever and whenever help is needed. The Alzheimer's Association is the nonprofit with the highest impact in Alzheimer's research worldwide, behind only the Chinese and United States governments. The association is currently investing more than $235 million in over 650 best-of-field projects in 39 countries. These studies will uncover new methods of diagnosis and deepen our understanding of the risk factors and causes of this fatal disease. As a result of the association's vision and commitment, the scientific community is now poised to discover breakthrough methods of treatment and prevention. The Alzheimer's Association has activated a nationwide network of dedicated advocates who, together with the association, work at all levels of government to address the Alzheimer's crisis. Under the association's leadership, and with support from champions in Congress, Alzheimer's funding has reached a historic high of $3.1 billion, and policies to enhance access to critical care planning are now in place. No other organization has the reach, the knowledge, or the understanding to defeat Alzheimer's disease. But we can't do it alone. Stand with the Alzheimer's Association today to build a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia tomorrow. Join us.
Well, I do hope that you heard that correctly, because I tried to make sure that it was going through the correct stream, and it did show correct on our view monitors, but I hope that the audio made it correctly into the stream. If not, I'm going to look a little bit more into that to see if I can make sure that it goes correctly next time. But that was a word from the Alzheimer's Association, and once again, we'll try to get that commercial playing correctly here at the end of the race. It played back not through the proper channel for us. Playing back through different speakers, so hopefully again that made it into the stream and views show correctly. But either way, great message from the Alzheimer's Association that there is a lot of great information that is available, and as you can see, Graham Bunyan is now leading Jimmy Drennan and Edward Black on screen. Julian Altena up 7 positions in 4th place. Dan Ensch, today's race sponsor, they're in 5th place, so that's your top 5. As we come back to green here on lap number 99, we're working now. Graham Bunyan already up to just over a second on Jimmy Drennan. So Bunyan racing the 101 machine, looking like he never lost a single week here, and great to have him back in the field and getting it done. Of course, David Strid himself, defending champion of the league, leading the points. Suppose it's probably about as good of a time to talk about the points picture as possible. So take a look on screen here. There you can see after 7 races, Strid with that points lead, 305 points, 7 starts, 7 top 5s. Pretty hard to beat perfect top 5 picture. 2 wins to his name, 2 pole positions. Did not get pole position again today. We'll see whether or not he can climb from 6th place up into 1st. But so far, even though he built the setup, not really looking like his day to take the win. 15 bonus points to his name, though, leading the whole rest of the pack, and that certainly helps to add to his total. This one not out of reach yet, but with Jason Lowe getting caught up there with Mike West, unfortunately, this one starting to slip away from Jason Lowe. It's tough to say whether or not he can pull it off here in the next few races, but that fight for 2nd place, though, pretty much hot and heavy, as Lowe and Bunyan just separated by that 1 point. Lowe with a race win, Graham Bunyan with 2 race wins, Bunyan with 1 less start. So then you look back at 4th place, Dominic Harte. Well, Harte is out of the race so far, and, well, actually, no, I take it back. He is back in the race, but he's running in 10th position, so not going to get those points that he almost had when he was running up there in the top 4. Mauro Ramirez also not really having the best race today. He's still back in 8th place with the others coming together, but shown first car a lap down at the moment. And so as you look, though, it's Howard Livingston with a great race last race who climbed up 4 positions. Unfortunately, him out of the race today, just not able to compete. Too much stuff going on, and it's kind of the name of the game here is it's a little difficult to make it to every single race. A lot of times these drivers just got family commitments and other things. I mean, goodness, Howard's got so much going on, not just family stuff. He's got musician stuff to do, and Surprised he's not running around city to city and touring. I suppose that's going to be coming up here in the summer. But in the meantime, we're glad to always have Howard join us. And of course, we always look forward to that Care Camp 50 at the end of the season. Graham Bunyan, though, in first position. And place he's comfortable with. 2.7 seconds that gap, and growing by the moment. Jimmy Drennan is blinking out a little bit on our side, but not due to our internet. Jimmy here on the track in that very familiar paint scheme that we've seen in the real life league before. Currently running in second place. I'm sure Jimmy would love to see himself be able to convert that into a second place finish, as he's had so many different opportunities to do that, but just one thing after another, usually somebody else finding a way to remove Jimmy from competition. Third place at the moment is kind of this season's hottest driver, Edward Lack, back in the field this week, and always great to see him as he continues to climb up the championship points ladder every single time he's out there. He's got some really good experience in these cars, and Edward showing every single week that he can get out there that he is somebody to definitely watch out for, as he's got what it takes to not only get a podium position but a possible win here in the International Open Wheel League. It's already proven. He's racing side by side now with Julian Altena, who's trying him on the low side. Altena making his move, and not sure if Altena is going to be able to get it done there, but Altena suddenly going with that yellow flag from looking like he's dropping back in the field to potential podium challenger. So here comes Altena on the low side in that number 31 car. Now tries the high side as Lack dives down closer to that apex and across that start-finish stripe on lap number 118 of 218. So just 100 to go. Now you can see Dan Ensch creeping into that picture as well, as these two kind of battle it out amongst themselves. And it looks like Lack perhaps scraping the wall as he's live on picture here, and it does look like Altena sensing, like a shark sensing the there he goes, shark sensing the blood in the water. Altena makes his move, and Altena comes back across Edward Lack, and Lack is upside down in the infield. And that is all she wrote for Lack and Altena. My goodness me, that did not look good for Julian Altena. Let's go ahead and take a look back. It looked like Altena was on the low line, and something went wrong with this pass. Let's see if we can tell from overhead. Here's Altena on that low line. Here he comes drifting up the track on exit, and he is not yet clear of Lack. Lack stays on that high line, and once again, you got to listen in your ear for the spotter to tell you that you're clear before you can drift up. But I think that's just one of those situations where, by having that much momentum midway through the corner, Altena really didn't have any place to go with it. Did get chime in on YouTube. We do appreciate it, from Will Stearns, letting us know that everything sounded okay on the broadcast. Thank you very much. It was definitely a momentary sound. Kind of had my heart in my throat there that things did not look correct or sound correct, but glad to know that that message got out there correctly. We'll play it again at the end of the broadcast anyway, just so anybody who missed it get a chance to see it. Let's go ahead and back it up one more time. We'll see it in real time, this time from Julian's point of view. And here we go on board. This is real time here as Julian starts drifting up the track, and My goodness me, it's all over that quickly. Take a look just one more time from Edward Lack's point of view. It's on board with Lack. Lack just kind of decides to stick in it on the high side. And, I mean, it's kind of tough to say because maybe Altena's thinking, you know, why would Lack continue to force the issue on exit? But either way, upside down for Lack in the infield, and we'll just let race steward Mike West figure that one out. But back to the live picture. See, we are under caution. MJ Ramirez, Richard Kelbaugh, a number of cars coming down pit lane, and not this driver though. Dan Ensch, actually I take it back, Ensch did come down and now finds himself in the lead. So Ensch once again getting it done on pit lane, and we're going to take a look again at the pit lane time, and you will see for this pit stop, it is Ensch once again leading the pack with the lowest pit lane time. So let's take a look back since we're under yellow. We'll see if we can tell what Ensch's pit stop looked like here. Ensch entering the pits. So let's see what it looks like for Dan entering the pits and just why he's so fast. He's already on pit lane. Perhaps we back it up. The yellow is out. You see they're all following the pace car. Here's Dan Ensch. And you're about to watch the fastest pit lane entry and overall pit lane time. Pulls it in on the back stretch as the drivers are instructed to do here. Keeping pace with the other drivers. And he officially enters the pits right here onto the pit speed limiter. Down in first gear. And I wonder if he didn't short fill the car perhaps. But we're going to watch on board here as he takes his fuel. And he'll get out in front of David Strid. He'll get out in front of everybody. Back underway. That's how it's done. Somehow, Ensch, perhaps light fueling the car, I'm not really sure, but taking advantage of the situation and able to get it done on pit lane. And that is some key stuff there as he will restart in the lead for the End ALZ
Green flag,
Last Lap Motorsports car. The number 52, Dan Ensch, in the lead here on lap number 126. Can he hold on and win the race in which he sponsors? That would be something a lot of people would love to see. Here's Jason Lowe, though. He's managed to recover, and somehow Julian Altena, his car has been fixed and repaired. And now Altena able to recover back to fourth place. So back in the race here, Altena definitely going to be wondering whether or not the steward is going to have something to say about that previous incident. But here he is on the outside of Jason Lowe, trying to get that third place on the track. We watch on. There he dives down to the low side on Lowe. It's Lowe and Altena racing side by side, and Lowe manages to take that position back. So Ensch, currently your leader, and we watch on here, second place, David Strid. So just as it was Graham Bunyan in the lead, now things have really changed with that last yellow flag coming out. Lowe and Altena now racing it out for that third spot, and here comes Graham Bunyan. So one of the questions is maybe Ensch not taking tires. That is a possibility. When others took tires, it just depends on how it was feeling. Perhaps Lowe not taking tires. Good questions. But either way, these drivers deciding to continue their strategies, trying to pull off the big victory here Bunyan having to make his way back through the field, and Ensch putting himself in strategy to be out there in front. 65-year-old out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Loves the Iowa track. Loves how it races. Become kind of a master here. And like I said, you can just tell most of the oval drivers really do have a great respect for this track and the way that it races. And there you can see Altena drifting up the track just in front of Graham Bunyan for that third spot. And looks like Lowe must have really suffered there as he's now fallen back. So we watch Graham Bunyan. Will he make his move on Altena? Again, these two have a history. Perhaps we'll see some more of those fireworks play out as Bunyan dives to the low line. Altena gives him the space. And Altena does the over-under. Comes back on to third place from Graham Bunyan as Bunyan tried the old slide job, couldn't quite pull it off. Bunyan on the low side again. These two racing side by side. It's going to allow Jason Lowe to get back in the picture. Bunyan side by side racing across the stripe. And now it's Altena trying to hold on the high side. Altena still side by side, and Bunyan has to pull back out of it. So these two once again racing for that third spot. We jump on board. This is Julian Altena looking back at Graham Bunyan, 5-time champion back there. Red and white 101 machine is not the one that you would want to see in your mirrors. He got so close there. You got to remember, these drivers racing on totally different continents in the world, racing inches apart. There, it looks like Bunyan almost cutting into Altena, but they managed to avoid each other. Now the race is on for that fourth place, as it looks like Lowe is creeping into the picture, and there's Jimmy Drennan now starting to get into the picture as well. We'll watch from Drennan's point of view, as you can see all these racers starting to come together closely for that third position. 4 drivers separated by just about a second and a half on the track. Drennan up high there, you know, trying to work on those tires the right way, keep it looking good for the end of the stint. Ensch, though, your leader out in front. Take a look at him as he continues around here for the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190. Ensch picking it up and putting it down. Just under a second gap back to David Strid. These drivers getting very, very close to starting to stare down the end of this race. And certainly that is, well, it's going to be news to Dan's ears if this thing can stay green till the end, I believe. But we look back, it is in fact Graham Bunyan who has managed to get around Altena. Missing that pass here just a moment ago. There's Jason Lowe now trying the outside of Altena, not quite getting it done yet. Perhaps the tire's starting to fall off on Altena. Racing on board here, the number 31 machine, Velocity Online Racing of Julian. Keeping it clean so far in this stint. Of course, race steward Mike West might have something to say about what happened previously. We'll just have to find out in his post-race report. Graham Bunyan, though, has moved back into third position. So now the gap from David Strid up to Dan Ensch under 0.8 of a second. So starting to close a little bit. And here comes Graham Bunyan from third, trying to chip in. Now under a second up there to David Strid. So when Graham wants to pour the coal to it, he can certainly get that engine fired up nice and hot. Start chipping into this lead. See whether or not he's got something to say about this race win after all. But back up front, it's the poster boy for today's race, driving the poster car, looking quite stellar out there, no matter whether he wins the race or not. But that end ALZ machine, the Last Lap Motorsports, really holding its own here in this stint. Now back over 0.8 of a second back to David Strid. And you have to keep in mind, you know, David Strid is the one who develops these setups for the International Open Wheel League. And so if anybody's got the upper hand in the inner workings of these setups, it would be David Strid, the guy who's running in second place right now. We see Rick Kelbaugh now into the pits for TeamStickQuick.com. And looks like things are starting to get a little hot and heavy back here. And you see Altena up into the wall a little bit, perhaps. Could just be our internet showing that he's actually scraping the wall, but not really. But either way, Altena and Lowe running very close together for this fourth spot. We'll see whether Lowe can try and get Kirby up there in front of the blue and black VOR machine of Lilian Altena. So Jason Lowe on the low side, racing for Rescue Ranch. Himself running a little bit of a Rescue Ranch at his house with author Tiffany Myers Lowe. Always fun to see their updates and what's going on with the various cats and dogs. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not always the greatest news, as they've had to say goodbye to one of their furry friends this last week. Obviously, our condolences going out to them. Always a sad thing and difficult to do, but you know, it's great what they do for all of those wonderful dogs and cats, and you know, creating such a loving space for them. But not so much loving space on the track today, as Jason Lowe's been caught up in another incident and now trying to make his way around Julian Altena there for that fourth position. Altena actually one of the hardest chargers of today, but not the hardest charger of today. Hardest charger award goes to Dan Ensch, who's climbed 9 positions from where he qualified. And as I mentioned earlier, he thought he could qualify better. He had practiced very well, so he had the speed. He's obviously been practicing those pit ins and pit outs, and it's paying off very, very well for Dan. We're now closing in on the end of this race, just about 50 laps to go here. Just under 60 laps to go here. Ensch in that 52 machine, keeping it nice and tidy. Now, if we ride on board with Ensch, check and see what kind of line he's taking at the moment. A bit more like Graham Bunyan, all the way down to close to the yellow line. Yeah, a little bit more like Graham Bunyan drives it. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is that, and he's very close to that yellow line in 3 and 4, so definitely getting some speed out of that car. Last time by 17.81. Graham Bunyan, who has now managed to get around David Strid, also putting down some good speed. This was, let's take a look here. This was just a minute ago. Graham Bunyan getting by David Strid as Strid exits the corner. Bunyan dives the low side. Takes that position from Strid, his pseudo teammate. Strid not going to try that position back, so we jump back now to the live picture, and it looks like Bunyan trying to make his way towards Dan Ensch, and he begins to close now, just little over 0.7 of a second up the road to end. So Bunyan giving it his all here. The Brisbaner trying to make his way at tail end of this race up there and possibly take the position from Dan Ensch. And we watch on 7/10 of a second separating Ensch from Bunyan. I think, maybe it lit a little fire under Bunyan to see that Ensch had somehow managed to snag this lead, and he was running such a stellar race. Kind of Graham saying, hey, wait a minute. I know how to do that as good as anybody. And we do have Jimmy Brennan, I believe, having a crash just moments ago. It did not bring out the yellow flag. He managed to get back into the pits, but this was just a second ago, racing on the low side of Jason Lowe. Just getting it a little crossed up there. Let's see if we can jump back a little bit and tell what happened as they were exiting the corner. This on board from Jimmy Brennan, going to exit the corner, and it looks like the car just gets out from under him, puts it into the inside wall. So a little bit of the car flashing by on the racetrack, and he jumps back. It's like I said, fortunately, did not go under caution for that. And I think Dan Ensch, most of all, very thankful for that. He's able to continue with his 0.8 of a second lead over Graham Bunyan. So Ensch looking like he belongs out front, putting in the laps, lap after lap. Why don't we go ahead, since we have a good second here, we'll just let you listen to the Dallara IR-18 cars as they head around this virtual Iowa Speedway.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Well, as we come back to live coverage here, you can see the front wing missing off of Graham Bunyan, and those of you who were just riding along, I'll let you determine exactly what took place there, but Graham Bunyan and Julian Altena had it coming together here. Let's see if we can back it up and we'll take a look at the chopper view here. Now, of course, we were following right along. We were on board with Graham Bunyan. See it all kind of take place. So, as we watch along here, like Bunyan enters the corner and does not have a full car's length alongside of Altena. And I don't know who didn't give who room, but we'll let Mike West make that determination. Either way, let's go ahead and see if we can tell here one more time. Let's back it up one more time and take a look. See if we can tell, looking back from Altena, exactly what took place. It was, once again, just moments ago. There, go back to that. Altena here, looking back. There we go. Well, I'm going to say it's tough to say that Altena did much wrong there. But, again, not our determination to make, as Altena's left with a broken rear wing. And Bunyan's left with a broken front wing. Back to the live picture, and there is Bunyan on the outside of Jason Lowe. Lowe now making his way into the pits for that final pit stop on the day. Good stuff here. Racing, it was green flag racing until not that long ago, but now watch on as things started to perhaps yeah, it did look like a clean pass, but you know, previously, as Will Stearns had let us know, but unfortunately, this one not looking like such a clean pass, and we'll just let Mike West sort it out. Anyway, back to the live picture, though. Dan Ensch continuing to lead here as we are under caution. This being the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190. You're watching here on the unlisted feed on VirtualRacing.Network. Great to be broadcasting in 4K once again. Hope it's looking good for you out there. And all I've seen is green down where our bandwidth is shown. That makes me a very happy camper. Now, as of course, we already heard from the Alzheimer's Association. Get a chance to hear from them again at the very tail end of the race today, and hopefully get a chance to speak with Dan Ensch, who is certainly aiming for a podium position here today. He's in position for it. Just about under, just coming up on 30 laps to go here. Cranking down the laps remaining, as you see Iñigo Mardones pulling in to make his pit stop. Ensch staying out there last in on lap 172, but Bunyan and the rest have already been in on lap 181. So Ensch choosing to hold on to that track position, perhaps thinking there will be another yellow flag, or planning it out the way that he wants to run his race. Edward Lack hoping to get that lap back there. It's actually 3 laps down, more than just the 1 lap. But lights are out on the pace car, and that means that the next time by, get a chance to see these cars take the green flag again. And you'd have to imagine with Dan Ensch a little bit less fuel on board, but hotter of tires, they'll be able to jump out to a nice sizable lead to get this one going. But it all depends on whether you're ready for that green flag to come out. Barney the Flag Man. Pretty predictable, but you never quite know whether you're in the right gear, the right fuel map. You got to make sure all of that stuff is correct. So Ensch brings it around.
Green, green, green.
And we are back underway. The flash bulbs go off in the stands. It is now after 1 o'clock in the morning here in virtual Iowa. Ensch off to a great start over David Strid. 1.5 seconds he's managed to get over Strid on that start. You see Strid really struggling back there with Jason Lowe and Julian Altena. I'm sorry, that's not Jason Lowe in the pink machine. Got my pink cars mixed up. Looks like Altena's bouncing off the walls again. Tough to say, though. Altena on the high side on David Strid. And they are so close together. Side-by-side racing here. Altena and Strid racing for position. Though it does show that, well, looked like Altena had a broken right front, but that was just the lag coming off the server. Lack, they're going very slowly in the green and black machine. Looks like perhaps they have tagged the wall. Strid and Altena very close together. Altena not giving an inch to the defending champion Strid. And we are racing very tight quarters out here in the International Open Wheel League. They're very tight shot on David Strid as they circle around this track. You can see the number 48 car really trying to get that third position away from Julian Altena, but Altena fighting strong as he's been known to do. Tooth and nail out there trying to keep that third position, and undoubtedly wants to get a little bit of time here in the post-race discussion group. Get into the ALZ.org Victory Circle discussion post-race, so stay tuned for that. 192 laps here, just coming up on the double century mark of laps done. Blink and you pretty much missed 5 or 6 laps here that fast. But Dan Ensch still ahead of Graham Bunyan by about a half a second. Will he be able to hold on and take victory here at Iowa? I think everybody would love to see Ensch be able to score another victory. It's been a couple of seasons since Chicagoland, and this being Ensch's sponsored race and one of his absolute favorite tracks. A lot of the series regulars definitely wanting to see Ensch be able to pull one off, but going to have to deal with a very hard-charging Graham Bunyan there in second place. We'll see whether Bunyan can spoil Ensch's victory. Ensch now racing on lap number, well, he's got 23 to go, so just under 200 laps complete here. Ensch still holding on. Now it's just 0.4 of a second. And Bunyan is closing the gap. Altena racing in third position. Strid's kind of backed off of Altena back there. Lowe racing in fifth. M.J. Ramirez in sixth. Jimmy Drennan in seventh. Edward Lack in eighth. Dominic Harte in ninth. Rich Kelbaugh for Team Stickwick back there in 10th. Our camera's showing Ensch getting very close to that wall. I saw some sparks. I'm not sure if he got those hubs up against, those wheels up against the concrete or not, but certainly looking like he's getting a taste of some of that wall. I don't know if Bunyan there, he's just 0.4 of a second back. I don't know if Bunyan starting to get that shark, smell the blood in the water syndrome going, but there's the nose of the Bunyan machine. 101 machine staring down the rear wing, the purple rear wing of Dan Ensch. It's a possibility. 18 laps to go. We could have anybody up there in victory circle before this one is done. Julian Altena 1.5 seconds back from Graham Bunyan. David Strid another 1.6 seconds back from him. Jason Lowe starting to close in on David Strid, so we'll keep an eye on that. Ensch now managing to open up a little bit more of a gap, 0.6 of a second. Again, coming into the final stages here, round number 8 at Iowa. It is pretty amazing stuff that we've seen out here on the track, some possibly controversial stuff for sure. But Dan Ensch, race sponsor, he's been carrying that banner for ending ALZ, for ending ending Alzheimer's, and bringing the awareness of what the Alzheimer's Association does. He wears it every single race, and this being the official race, of course, they've got all the VIPs down on pit lane and up in the stands, and, you know, Alzheimer's Association possibly, I say, you know, not for sure, but possibly bringing hundreds, perhaps thousands of people to the race here. So you can imagine the roar of the crowd if Ensch can manage to come home first. But either way, he's given a great run for them and a great way to bring awareness for the group. We'll certainly look forward to talking with him post-race. Second place, of course, Graham Bunyan. What more can be said about this driver who is 5 consecutive championships and probably could have had a 6th one if he had just been able to complete all of the races from last season, but fortunately not able to do so. There you can see Bunyan trying it on the outside. He's managed to close that gap down to 0.2 of a second. Are we going to see the pass happen here momentarily? Ensch kind of sitting like a sitting duck. Bunyan on the high side, tries the low side into the corner. Is he going to take the position from Ensch? He tries to bring the car up. He's not quite clear. Bunyan tries to force the issue, and Ensch says, I'll give you it, Graham. Okay, you go ahead and take it. Bunyan to the lead here at the Iowa End ALZ, ALZ.org, 190, just with 9 laps remaining. It's Bunyan back to the forefront, and Ensch settling into second place. Altena still running in third, somehow bouncing off those walls back there, or perhaps that's just our internet connection. Either way, it looks like Bunyan taking over control once again, with Ensch in second, Altena in third, Strid in fourth, and Jason Lowe now really closing in the gap here in 5th place. This could be the next position to cross, as we've got Lowe chasing Strid very closely. Lowe getting that toe down the front straightaway, not able to get it done into 1. You have to back out and reset, try and refigure this one out. Lowe tries to look around the outside, now tries to take a look around the inside. Lowe giving it a shot. Not quite able to get that one done there. Got to time it right, so to speak, but slowly closing in here with just 5 to go for Graham Bunyan out of Australia, the driver who's had so much success in the International Open Wheel League. Looking to close in and score another W in that column, get the bonus point. And Dan Ensch having a stellar run here today. May not be able to take victory, may still be able to take victory. It just depends on what happens. But either way, showing that he has what it takes any given week to put a great run together and end up on that podium. As he's been known for kind of the Mr. Top 5, he's sort of returned to the top 5 recently. Today would certainly be a great way to do it, staying up there in podium territory. Just 3 laps to go, and we're still watching on for this 4th place. It looks like Lowe is still trying to close in on Strid. There's 2 laps remaining now. I don't know if Lowe is going to get the chance before this one is done and dusted. Final lap here for Graham Bunyan as he circles around. Now passing M.J. Ramirez, going to try to take this victory here. Checkered flag in the air from Barney the Flagman. And Graham Bunyan takes victory here at Iowa with a very close second place for Dan Ensch. Third place going to Julian Altena. David Strid in fourth, and Jason Lowe will have to settle for that top 5 position. See them firing off in the background, the fireworks here in Iowa. Beautiful shots coming to us from our virtual camera team. Quite a fantastic run of it today, as we can look on here. The thousands of fans in the stands got their money's worth, as it is in fact Graham Bunyan who takes victory. So let's go ahead and get the final results up there on the screen for you, as it now has gone official, and you can see the fireworks being displayed in the background. Quite a beautiful sight here. The Iowa Speedway really going all out for the race here today. Graham Bunyan taking victory, and he does it by a very slim margin over race sponsor Dan Ensch, but nevertheless, he gets it done. He's going to take those bonus points for leading laps, and you know, it all matters in the end, as Bunyan did miss a race, and maybe if that's the only one that he misses, well, then that'll be his drop race. But either way, he's having to play back. He's going to have to come back here and take as many points as he can. Takes the victory over Dan, and then third place going to Julian Altena. Quite a run, involved in several incidents. We'll keep the word fault out of it, but still getting wrapped up in several different incidents, and certainly some his doing, some not his doing. But David Strid taking fourth place, Jason Lowe in fifth for the Rescue Ranch, Altena for Velocity Online Racing, of course. MJ Ramirez still manages to bring it home in sixth. He's kind of had a troublesome day, battling it out there past all of these incidents that happened, but still managed to bring that pink car home for his daughter. And number 7 is Jimmy Brennan. Now, Jimmy, once again, another one of those races where it just looked like he was going to get a podium. Just manages to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to make that pass on Jason Lowe, and something went wrong. Ended up in the wall. Edward Lack, another driver who was up there in the top 3. Fortunately, looked like maybe he made contact with the wall and started sliding backwards. Ends up in 8th place. Dominic Harte, again, was up there in the podium potential, but sliding backwards today, ending up in 9th. Rick Kelbaugh for Team Stickwick in 10th place. Mike West in 11th. And Iñigo Mardones for the Proud Necky Racing Team. Of course, I can't ever mention Rick Kelbaugh without saying TeamStickwick.com. How could we forget that? We covered that multiple seasons in a row, doing many commercials for Stickwick. But Necky Racing Team for Iñigo Mardones in 12th. So let's go ahead and see if we can catch our drivers here in post-race discussion over in our victory circle. And, well, let's see if we'll get the man of the moment, Graham Bunyan, in. Hey, Graham, congratulations. What a heck of a run. We couldn't tell whether or not you were going to have enough there for Dan, but you managed to pull it off there with 10 laps to go. You got the pass done, and you look like the Graham Bunyan of old, just able to chase down your prey and take the position and get that victory here for the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190. Congratulations.
Sweat pouring off me, and I've actually got the air conditioner going. It's I've got to go back and have a look at what happened between myself and Julian. I'm not too sure what happened there, whether I was still on the gas and he's come up in front of me, or yeah. But geez, man, what a action-packed race! Bloody hell! Indeed,
and of course we can't forget that being in the great country of Australia, in a different hemisphere than all of the U.S. people and European people. Of course, it's a whole different season. You guys in the middle of your hot season of summer down there, and even with the AC going, like that, grip dripping sweat coming off you. Makes you feel like one of the real life racers out there in the cockpit where it gets over like 130, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. But still, quite tense racing, as you said, mixed up in a little bit of an incident there. We'll have to see what Mike West has to say about that. Talk us through the race, though, and what took you back early on, and then you managed to climb your way back there at the end and get by Dan.
Man, what took me back earlier on? I forgot to pit in. Everybody else pitted in, and then I thought, what? So it's a weird pit. The pace car's weird. There's some weird stuff going on today, especially with the fast repairs as well. When I come in, I used the fast repair when I had that contact with Julian, and I thought I'll get that done because I didn't want to have the hold in the pit. It used that repair thanks to mechanics, and they gave me a free one. So I don't know what the story was there. I come back out still with a repair, and I know I didn't have a front wing. So, look, slippery starts. A lot of weight jacker in the front there for a while. Was pretty good in clean air. Once those tyres got some temperature into them, the track was pretty cold out there tonight. So once the tyres got some temp into them, it was great sailing. I found my stride and off I went. And it's one of those tracks I love. I love this track because you can make it work high or low, and sometimes you get a massive slingshot out of turn 2 on the high line, and same with turn 3 and 4. So crazy. And while you're talking, I'm going to race over and point this aircon at me. Keep talking.
Wow. Well, and it just really lets you know, certainly we have that to look forward to here in the great state of Florida very soon with that air conditioning setup, as it should reach temperatures well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here. And fortunately, it's actually quite cool at the moment. But definitely it was fun watching the different racing lines. And maybe you can just, the final word, you can possibly talk us through what it's like to adjust through the course of the race and the different parts of the stint. Were you having to make a lot of adjustments there to the cockpit controls? Were you deciding to drive higher and lower on the track depending on what the tires were doing? We did see Jimmy Drennan trying to hold the low line, making a pass on Jason Lowe, and not able to do so. That car just came right around on him, perhaps being a little aggressive on that right rear. What was it like for you with those cockpit controls today?
I definitely work in the ARB. A few changes on the ARB, mainly the front, not so much the rear. But weight checker was more the game here this time. Turn 1, there's that nasty little bump down the bottom, and then there's a nasty little bump up the top out of turn 2, which if you have too much, I know a couple of guys are running plus weight jacker. I can't work that out, but it's pretty loose on the plus side of things. But a lot of work in the cockpit. I reckon I've lost about 5 kilo of fluid, I think.
You have to get your cool suit for the next race there, so you can stay nice and cool like the real life drivers, getting that serious out there. But either way, congratulations. Sounds like you're doing better after your earlier sickness and everything, and hopefully next race the weather will be a little bit more cooperative for you. But either way, congratulations. You're well on your way to recovering in this championship, and next stop will be pretty much taking on your own countryman and arch nemesis, David Strid there. A little bit of a formidable opponent for you.
Yeah, I think I've got an EOL coming to me. I think I did an incorrect pit procedure because, again, the cars that were a lap down or on the tail end of the lead lap were in front of me, and they all started pitting, and I'm like, huh? Oh, I don't know why they're going in. And then it was like, pits were open for me as well, and then I ducked in probably about 2 car lengths past the actual double yellow line. So we'll see what the steward's got to say about that. I think there was a fair few guys that improper pit procedure on under pace car, so it'd be interesting to see whether they throw this out the door or whether I end up with an EOL. But I'm quite sure something's coming my way.
Well, either way, as I mentioned, always great to have you with us, and look forward to seeing you next time. And you continue to climb up that championship order, and it's something to watch as you step back into the cockpit. Good luck for the rest of the races, and anybody who tunes in, they'll get a great chance to see a great championship battle. Good luck to you, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, and thanks for everything you're doing, and thanks for the 4K again. Looks good, and yeah, thanks to David Strid for this setup. It's definitely a difficult one here at Iowa, and man, congrats to the podium. Dan, I stole it from him. I'm sorry. He really deserved the win tonight, or today. But yeah, well done everybody. And Danny, who's out there watching, who's been texting me whilst racing. Cheers, man.
Absolutely. Well, that was Graham Bunyan joining us here in the ALZ.org Victory Circle. As he mentioned, Graham feeling the victory, but you know what? It's got to be done out there on the track. You compete, you got to go for the win. Doesn't matter whether it's the race favorite or not that you're going to be taking that victory from. And speaking of, let's go ahead and talk to, we'll get our third place finisher in there. Kind of Mr. Controversy, if I do say so. We'll see whether or not there's something to be said post-race for that. But either way, Julian Altena joining us here in ALZ.org Victory Circle. Julian, with the thousands around the world that are listening on, how was your race today? And you managed to hang on for a great third place finish here at Iowa. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, my race was pretty solid, but what I want to know is how's the new place?
Oh, it's awesome. Thank you for asking. We got great internet here, and I think that's the main thing. We all breathe a little bit easier that way. But hey, Julian, so, I mean, talk us through it. I mean, it looked like you were running up there close to the wall. Was it a difficult car to hang on to today? Did you find the side-by-side racing to be thrilling? Was it a little too incident-packed for you? What was your race like?
Yeah, well, I've had more difficult setups on this car. Most notably on the old-timer model, that was a lot harder than this one. But yeah, no, the setup was pretty good. I enjoyed racing it today. Just a little bit tough sometimes with not only myself, but other people around me also. Trying to go down low to pass and then sliding up. I had a few instances where I slid up a little bit. Felt like I gave enough room in some instances as well, but turns out it wasn't for those people. But that's just the way it goes sometimes at this track. It's difficult to pass. In the beginning phase of the race, I got up into 8th after the start, couldn't pass anybody again until the restarts, which came later on. So for most of the race there in the beginning, I was just stuck behind those people. But luckily those restarts came and helped me with the fresh tires. Had a few incidents there at the end as well, but luckily it all went the right way, I guess, and got a third place. So second podium of the weekend for me. So pretty happy about that.
Definitely, and you know, again, you're out there racing in various different leagues, including, you know, you have your own going, Velocity Online Racing, but it's still great to have you here and being able to challenge the likes of Graham Bunyan, Dan Ensch, David Strid, great racers as well. We gonna get a chance to see you for any more races here this season, or is it just kind of one of those, you know, try to fit it in where you can sort of thing?
Yeah, it's still that, but I think the race in 2 weeks, so not next week, but the week after, I should be able to make it, because me and my girlfriend switch around every weekend. Like one weekend we're there at her place, and one weekend we're here. This weekend we are here, so yeah, just gonna try to do those races then, and yeah, I'll try to squeeze in some if I'm at her place, because I got iRacing on my laptop as well. So we'll see, but definitely I'll be there in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Looking at potentially Motegi, which is one of those one of those very tricky races to get exactly right, and sometimes if you can get up there in the front, you can win the race. But either way, it'll be great to have you back here. You're always a great racer and provide a great benchmark for everyone else to race with. So congratulations to you on your podium finish, and good luck with the things that you have planned with your girlfriend, etc. And then we'll get a chance to see you in a couple weeks.
Definitely, thank you, man. Don't get banned from YouTube and iRacing.
Hey, we're doing the underground pirate broadcasting here out of our bunker in Florida. So just try.
I appreciate that. I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely, that's kind of in Julian's spirit of being able to do that as well. A little bit of a rebel himself. Good luck with the rest of your season, bud.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that is Julian Altena joining us there from third place, and now we get a chance to finally bring it around to the man of the race, the guy who brings us of course, the End ALZ message every week. And, of course, the reason why we have the End ALZ, ALZ.org 190, Dan Ensch. Dan, you know, for quite a long time today, I really thought we were going to be talking about Dan Ensch and Victory Circle as the winner. And I know you were probably thinking the same thing, but you were not able to get that pole position that you were counting on. Nevertheless, great pit in and pit out. Just a really solid race all the way through today, and you still got to be happy with second place.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you get the ALZ.org car up in front and get plenty of camera time, that's a good day, and especially when you're doing the ALZ 190. So I'm real happy with that. I'm glad we got to show off the new paint scheme a little bit and get some awareness for all-timers, and that's what it's all about for me. Yeah, I thought I had it there for a minute, and then I thought, wait a minute now. Graham ducked in for tires, and he's got about 5 or 6 lap fresher tires than me, and maybe that'll make a difference. And sure enough, about 15 to go, I look in my mirror, and there's Graham Bunyan coming on again, and I suddenly realized why his sideshow Bob hates Bart Simpson. It's just, he's so good, you can't do anything about it, and here he comes. And congratulations to Graham on another great race. But I had a ball out there today. I love Iowa. I love running at Iowa. And I wished I hadn't touched the wall in qualifying. But you know what? It worked out okay, and I got back to the front and had a great time.
Well, you had a great time. Tell us a little bit about how the car was working today because, well, first of all, did you do a lot of practicing pit in, pit out? Because you had the lowest pit lane time of anybody a few times. That was either due to short filling or not taking tires, or you just seemed to be able to have the magic touch over anybody else. And that seemed to be the thing that got you out in front. So tell us about the pit lane time, but then also how was that car handling? It seemed like you seemed to have the ability to get those average lap times and hold that car out there on those tires the best.
Yeah, I practiced the rubber off those tires, not only in the official practices, but I was practicing on my own time to get those pit times down. So, yeah, I worked hard at that, and it obviously showed, and I'm going to be using that work ethic a little more often. That's the advantage of being retired. I can work on stuff like that when I'm not doing anything. So, yeah, I definitely worked on that this week and was hoping it would come in handy, and it did. The car itself, it was a little bit tighter than the previous sessions, so it took me a first stint to get used to what to do with the ARBs and the weight jackers, but once I got that dialed in, I knew I was going to have a solid car down the end of the run, and I worked them real well, learned a few things from Graham from last week, and it all paid off. Had a good run.
Well, and it certainly did, and I mean, it was almost the dream race once again for you, but still to get that second place, it certainly lets you know that practice makes perfect, and if it weren't for that pesky Graham Bunyan, you might have ended up there with that B, that big W there in the wing column. But nevertheless, it gives you something to try for the rest of the season. Of course, you got some big races coming up, and it's got to feel good, though, to get up there podium position and be looking good at the end of the season. Maybe a good chance at either a podium or certainly top 5 in the championship.
Yeah, and all I can really say about Graham is,
since this was your race, the Alzheimer's Association, any words that you have regarding either the ALZ.org group or anything you'd like to say about Alzheimer's awareness and things that people might be able to help their families with?
Well, and that's the key right there. You just said it, helping your family deal with Alzheimer's. That's what Alzheimer's or ALZ.org, Alzheimer's Association, is all about. And it's a rough road. When you've got a loved one suffering from Alzheimer's, sometimes you think you just can't do this. You can't get up another day and face what you faced yesterday. And it's a natural way to feel because it is such a frustrating disease, and it's so weird. It's just weird. And Alzheimer's Association, they have a ton of experience. They have a forum you can go to and see how everybody else has dealt with this problem or are dealing with this problem. The main thing is to get it out of your soul, to get it out there and communicate with people and share what's going on, and don't try to keep it to yourself. Nobody can do this alone. Nobody can deal with a loved one with Alzheimer's disease by themselves. You have to have help. And the best place to go, and believe me, I've researched a lot of them, the best place to go for knowledge about the diseases, and not just Alzheimer's, but all 12 forms of dementia, known forms of dementia. There's probably a lot more. But not only with dealing with that, but dealing with how to deal with it. And I highly recommend it. If you have a loved one with Alzheimer's, please stop in. Alzheimer's Association, ALZ.org.
Absolutely. Great words, and certainly we did get a chance to play the PSA. We're going to play it again just because I think I thought maybe there was a problem with the audio, but we did hear that there was no problem with the audio. Still, good chance for us to hear those same words again. And what a great organization. They, as you said, I mean, they have led the absolute way, not just in research and on the local level, and of course all the great information that they provide on the website, but also getting out there politically, being able to advocate for more and more political support to try to get Alzheimer's awareness at the government level as well, taking that fight all the way to Washington, D.C. And so that's where your money is going, into all of these great causes. If you can donate today, it is a great cause, and they're really the leading cause out there. So, Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for bringing that message every week, and thanks for putting on a great show today. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you, Trevor. Good to see you back in full swing, and we're going to go have some fun next race, hopefully.
You betcha. Be great to see you out there next race, and of course that'll be from what's affectionately known as Gateway, but officially known as the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Dallara IR-18s heading out there for the International Open Wheel League, and then after that, Motegi, etc., as we posted on screen there. That was Dan Ensch joining us from second place, almost to first place, but it's not such a bad thing when it's a 5-time consecutive champion that is the one who passed you for first. Makes you feel like you're hanging with the big dogs. Either way, we do invite you to join us, of course, next week, same time, same channel. We'll post that link privately because this is an unlisted stream, but you can share it with your friends. Just don't post it publicly because of various policies that are in place at the moment. Hope to be able to change that in the near future. Either way, stay tuned. We're going to get the ALZ.org commercial one more time up there on the screen for you, and then we'll close out the broadcast. But this has been Trevor Greenfield signing off. We'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week. So long, everybody.
40 years ago, Alzheimer's disease wasn't discussed at the dinner table or in the doctor's office. But a group of people devastated by the disease came together to change that. Out of their passion, the Alzheimer's Association was born, and today is the leading organization in Alzheimer's care, support, and research. For the more than 6 million Americans living with Alzheimer's and their over 11 million caregivers, the association's free 24/7 helpline and website at alz.org are often a first source of information. From support groups to online message boards, the Alzheimer's Association is available wherever and whenever help is needed. The Alzheimer's Association is the nonprofit with the highest impact in Alzheimer's research worldwide, behind only the Chinese and United States governments. The association is currently investing more than $235 million in over 650 best-of-field projects in 39 countries. These studies will uncover new methods of diagnosis and deepen our understanding of the risk factors and causes of this fatal disease. As a result of the association's vision and commitment, the scientific community is now poised to discover breakthrough methods of treatment and prevention. The Alzheimer's Association has activated a nationwide network of dedicated advocates who, together with the association, work at all levels of government to address the Alzheimer's crisis. Under the association's leadership, and with support from champions in Congress, Alzheimer's funding has reached a historic high of $3.1 billion, and policies to enhance access to critical care planning are now in place. No other organization has the reach, the knowledge, or the understanding to defeat Alzheimer's disease. But we can't do it alone. Stand with the Alzheimer's Association today to build a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia tomorrow. Join us.
Yeah. And I actually overfilled a little bit on that last stint too. I'll bet you Graham had it right on the button. But then again, I wasn't counting on another yellow either. Dan's Brain 2.0. Well, see, he didn't pit until after I did, and I had to figure on no yellows, and I think he waited till the yellow to pit, didn't he? Or no, that was his second